Welcome everyone to VR Jungle, a Havoc podcast. We are not on our typical Monday schedule. We are throwing in a wicked Saturday because I noticed that over at Ultimechs they were doing a tournament that is hosted by VRML, and it's their preseason tournament. And the whole entire concept today is to pretty much talk about what is Ultimechs, what's VRML, what the tournament entails, the teams that are part of it, probably the strategy that is also going into today's tournament. And today with us to kind of talk about it, he's the floating image over there. So you'll hear his voice, but not his face like you see this beautiful face right in front of you. But we have CGF. How you doing today this Saturday morning?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. How are you doing?
Oh, totally great. Got my coffee early in the morning. I already did my workout. I noticed I forgot to talk about the sponsors, so we were just going off the cuff. We're not even talking about the sponsors. If you want to know about my sponsors, link in the description. I'll talk more about it on Monday. I'm horrible at that. I used to have an image and I deleted it like 2 Mondays ago because I'm known to delete stuff from the podcast. So I'm all over the place. At least this coffee is giving me a little bit some energy this morning. So we'll see how that goes. But CGF, you are a caster for VRML, correct?
Yes, I'm a caster and mod as of current for VRML.
Awesome. For VRML, because I believe I still am a mod for Ultimechs. I enjoy the game. I play it. I used to play it a lot more when it first came out, but ever since some other games came out, they've kept me occupied because I've been competitively playing in those. But Ultimex is definitely a game to where, like, if you want that, that competitiveness, but like you can still chill. That's what Ultimex is to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So, what is Ultimex?
Ultimex is a 1v1 or 2v2 game in which you are placed as a pilot of a mech in an arena, guiding a mech trying to shoot a soccer ball into a goal.
Okay. Yeah, so for most people that want to kind of have a reference to what Ultimex is almost like Rocket League, but instead of being in a flying car, you are in your own mech, and it's a mech suit that when you first load into the game, you can actually see your mechs. There's three different types of mechs. You have the Viper, the Titan, and the Nitro. And just to talk about those three, and then you correct me if I'm wrong. I think I still remember exactly what every single one of them does. But the Viper is a little bit quicker. Its ultimate that you have that you can get through a charge is pretty much like a laser, like a sniper. Like you can just like hold your hand out there and it snipes the ball. And it's pretty accurate as long as you know how to use it. You can also play with it. The Titan is kind of like a tank character that puts up these huge shields that you can block balls. You can even use it to like literally projectile the ball into the goal if you want to. And then we have the Nitro that kind of has a big round explosion where if as long as you put it up around the ball, you can pretty much play the ball wherever you want. That's pretty much the three characters, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so those are the three now. I don't know if they have plans for more, but for what you're going to be seeing in today's tournament, and by the way, everything that we're talking about, especially for the day, the tournament is at 4 p.m. Eastern. That's when it's going live, and this is the very final of it. So it's going to be a very exciting that we're going to have a championship Sunday, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we'll end this on Sunday, but the whole entire purpose of this podcast was kind of helping promote, get people to watch this, and then also we also have a team that CGF is also part of, which is Havoc Hellfire, which consists of the Chosen One, 24, and yours truly that is here talking with me, CGF. So going away from Ultimax, I think we talked about that. So VRML, and you said you're a moderator for VRML. I've seen VRML for Onward, Echo, and all that. And just this past year, the end of 2022, they picked up Ultimex. So what is VRML like doing to help promote this league? What's their future intels, and what especially is so special about this tournament? Do you know, like, can you tell me kind of how the tournament's working that VRML's putting together, the money pool, and then how the bracket system has been since it started?
Um, Currently, the bracket system is going to be a double elimination going into things. Um, VRML has existed since 2017 and has, over the years, sponsored a total of 9 games, I believe. Um, some for longer than others. And Ultimechs is just one of the few to be going to the VRML LAN in 2023 at Denver, Colorado.
Okay. I did not know that. That's
Um,
awesome.
and the prize pools for this season will be a winner's banner, a special in-game banner for the winners of the finals.
Do you know what the prize pool is?
It's just that.
Oh, it's just that. Did you? So there's no money entailed to it.
Not for this season.
Not for this season, but going into because this is considered a preseason tournament, correct?
Correct.
So this is kind of just their VRML is basically what they're doing is testing the waters.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. So double elimination going into it, and so it's been double elimination the whole entire time, or this weekend will also be into a double elimination bracket. That's the people who made it to the finals.
Last weekend we had a qualifiers bracket, which was a round robin style of the teams 7 through 12. And through that, the teams Reaper's Death and Run It Back made it through. And going into this, we are going to be doing a double elimination for this weekend.
A double elimination for this weekend. So there's actually a chance for someone to lose the very first game and come back and just surprise everybody with a victory.
Yes.
And so say I know the way how double elimination works sometimes is that you'll have someone in the winner's bracket that obviously has never lost, right? Because that's how double eliminations work throughout the whole thing. So you're going to have one person who will be undefeated and then someone coming up from the loser's bracket to play, the champion. So when it comes to that, with the championship, is it going to be best out of 3, best out of 5? Because obviously you have to beat the champion double the time since they haven't lost yet.
Yeah. For today, it will be best out of 5. And then tomorrow, all of the last few games will be best out of 7.
Best out of, but the championship game alone won't be an extensive amount of games because you see what I mean. Like the winners never
Yeah.
lost, so they still get their chance to lose once.
Yeah.
So will there be 2 games of 7? So it'll be 14 games total.
In the case they lose the first one.
In case they so if they lose the first one, it's 14 total.
Yes.
Yes, that's a lot of matches. So how does one cast Ultimechs?
To cast Ultimechs, currently there's no public spectator client. So you would have to reach out to the devs personally to get a actual key to access the spectator client.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Go ahead.
and currently it seems that it's only locked off to people who are using it for tournaments or special events or things like that, such as VRML or the various other things ran.
Yeah, and I've noticed that it's just a floating third person going around seeing it. They put it like they zoom out like maybe like to where you can see pretty much everybody in the full court. Is that the only view they have, or do they ever go to a first person view to see what someone is kind of jumping around, or do you think that might kind of make people that aren't too VR sense that it might make them nauseous because of all the jolting that's going on in Ultimechs?
I would think the latter probably, but as of right now, I don't see a first person option.
Yeah. So, will be casting for this coming up for 4 p.m. and then tomorrow?
Today, will be Havoc Hellfire, Run It Back, Disorient, Fire and Ice, The Foodmen, Reaper's Death, Fist of Steel, and 99th Pursuit Squadron.
So that's all the people that have made it throughout it. And then, so when I was watching this last week, and I noticed that there was teams that already made it. So they were just well off, or did you have something before that to kind of establish that they didn't need to play last week?
The top six teams from ladder auto qualified to finals.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I know one thing I wanted to talk about was going into this, which is strategy. Has a certain team established strategy? Is it just, they play their favorite mech and that's what it is? Or is there like a correct combination that is like the combination that everyone's doing? And if someone's doing that combination, do they have to find something to counter it? Like, I know that when I did a tournament for Dr. Oolong's one of his tournaments that he puts together. It was a lot of Titan and Titan, which was kind of annoying.
Yeah, usually what the current meta is what goes along with how the game's balance notes go. Um, Currently a lot of players are gonna you're gonna see are playing Nitro primarily, and that's due to its overall versatility in
Mm-hmm.
almost every single scenario.
Yeah.
Um, Last weekend we saw Run It Back running with a Titan and Viper combo, putting a wall up to sort of um, guide in the Viper shot into goal, which was a newer strategy for then, of course.
Yeah, and do you think that they're kind of thinking of these strategies on the fly? Like they played it. Do you think that there might be people that have watched or have been studying, other teams, like for instance, like the Hellfire for 24 and the Chosen One? Do you think people? Because I know from watching that they are probably the number one team that will be trying to, they people want to beat them to get them out early. It's just based on that. I'm not saying that just because they're Havoc, just because just without using my biased opinion on it, and I know how they play. They're two solid players. Do you think that people will go out of their way to like create destruction to where they keep on like maybe hitting them to blow them up? It is blowing up, like kind of a like in Rocket League. When you're playing competitive, like you don't want to blow people up. It's like a rude thing to do. But do you think that it's kind of whatever for this tournament?
Um, I I've seen some community members getting upset about people blowing up others,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, it hasn't really been deemed as a like toxic action quite yet.
Really?
No.
Yeah, because I was wondering because going into watching other people, if people might change the strategy up, because I played against 24 quite a bit, and his main that he uses is Nitro, and I've never like I try and do things that he does with Nitro, and it's freaking unbelievable. But then I've also seen people use the Titan as well. That you'll get ready to score a goal, and they'll put a wall up so perfectly in perfect timing that it literally will shoot it and like long ball into the freaking goal.
Yeah, totally. Um, I've definitely been seeing that happen, especially in my own games, for example. Um,
You think from this tournament that that the devs might want to alter a certain mech because they are noticing that it's being overpowered? Do you think that? Do you think that, in your opinion, do you think that all the mechs are completely balanced to where each one can counteract, or you think that, like I know when I first started playing Nitro, was just like unbelievably overpowered. Like the fact that it's explosion, if you get close enough, you could literally score a goal, come close to scoring the goal, and blow up both of the opposing mechs at the same time.
yeah, I would definitely note that since the early couple of updates, the balance has gotten a lot better,
Really?
and um, I wouldn't see from this tournament any like specific balance changes happening.
Yeah. But you don't think that the devs are taking into account like what's being used the most?
I would think that, but I do not believe that they would make some adjustments based off of this tournament in particular.
Yeah, for sure. So, how long for a typical battery life? Just so like people that want to get into this, that might watch this, that want to watch Ultimechs and stuff like that. How long? I know that the matches are obviously what is it, 5 minutes? Why do I
Um,
feel that's wrong?
they're best of five, so they're usually around 20, 30 minutes each.
20, 30 minutes each. But how long is one match?
Um, that's how long. Oh, so a one round inside of a match is 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
And then usually the total match time from what we rounded last weekend went out to about 30 minutes total.
So yeah, so people that don't have battery packs and stuff like that, which usually if you're playing on a Quest, that usually have like about a 2 hour lifespan. You could probably get in one tournament match, charge up, be listening to everything, and then get ready to go again. Um, has anyone had any battery issues? Yeah, I've always noticed that it comes tournament time, and there's always one person that's like my Oculus is dead.
Last weekend, we didn't have any
That's good.
battery issues overall.
That's good. And then what happens if anyone disconnects? Is there a rule for that?
If we disconnect, it usually depends on the exact scenario.
And how long you're into the
There's,
game or something like that?
yeah, how long they're gone. Um, it usually depends on factors like that. Sometimes we've reran it, sometimes we've just called it a forfeit loss.
A forfeit loss, yeah. Because I know the way that we've always played it in other leagues and stuff and other games is that there's a certain point where it's like what's justified to where they're just doing it to reset a game that they already are enabling that they're gonna lose regardless, and it's always like typically like if you were a minute in the game and you're already behind and you somehow disconnect, it's like the first time, yeah, might happen. Get back in the game, but if it happens continuously, you're just like, no, you're trying to just reset the game, which I don't think. The good thing about Ultimex I've noticed so far is that the community's very healthy and very appropriate. Where they're kind with each other, and it doesn't have that toxic feel that a lot of other VR games have. So that's always good. And I think that especially the community members that are within Ultimex, and then also like Defer, he's a great community manager. For Resolution as a whole, since he's just not community manager for Ultimex, and he does a hell of a job. And then also at VRML, I noticed that they keep a pretty tight ship over there of keeping out toxic people.
Yeah, completely.
Sorry, I had to drink some coffee. The coffee was staring at me. So, what else are we to expect from this tournament?
Um, I would I would say we would probably expect to see some of the EU teams really start to shine, especially Fist of Steel.
Is
Um,
the EU team and the American teams, are they blended together?
they are blended together.
Okay, so it's not separate brackets for them like sometimes.
No, however, next season we'll have separate brackets.
Now, do you think that's always appropriate to separate regions? I know it's a time restraint and stuff like that because obviously if, starting at 4, I think that in the UK is like an 8 hour difference. So 4 o'clock to them is getting close to midnight. Um, and I've seen people get on games at like 6, 8 o'clock and they're just like, dude, it's like 2 in the morning. I get the time thing, but do you think that separating regions like that holds back to the true of like who the best is, or do you think it's going to come to the point where they're going to have like the NFL does? You have the AFL and then the what is it? Why did I just blank on it? They have two different regions for the NFL. Um, and then they have two brackets that play, and then they come together for the Super Bowl, right? Do you think it's going to come to that where it's like the regions over in Europe and Asia, and then we have North America, South America. You think that it's just going to be two regions, they're going to do a tournament, and then come together for a bigger tournament to really find out who the best team is?
I would say it's not out of the world of possibility. Say Blaston, for example, did something like that where they were split region for the entire time up to finals, where they finally did a regional finals and then a world finals. I
Yeah.
know Onward used to do something like that as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and because I know that VRML they've always separated, but like you're talking about like Onward, their Onward scene is freaking huge. You know, it's massive how many teams they have for Onward, and I've even noticed that Onward has probably more European teams than American teams, just because I think it's just more played over there just to begin with when it looks at that game alone. Um, and you mentioned them doing a lane event, and I kind of want to touch base on that because you said Ultimechs will be there, and so it's going to be a VRML hosted lane event, correct?
correct.
So it's going to be in America, and lane events usually consist of tournaments. Are they going to bring players there, or are they going to do an online tournament and try and cast it from there? Do you
I
know
know what
anything
they're
about the lane event yet?
I know for Echo Arena, they are going to be flying players out to compete. I am unsure on the exact details for Ultimex as of this moment.
Yeah. And where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. What a nice place to do it at. Denver, Colorado. Man, I need to become a pro in something. I'll go to Denver, Colorado and play in a lane event. Do you know what time of the year is it gonna be in 2023? Obviously,
June 4th and 5th.
June 4th and 5th. All right, well, definitely be on the lookout for that. So today, 4 p.m. East start time. And then do you know who the casters are going to be for the day?
It will be Nightfire and Offbeat.
Nightfire and Offbeat, and they're all gonna do everything through the VRML Twitch, right? Now, do they? Is
Correct.
it the main Twitch, or do they have a separate one for Ultimex?
It is going to be through the Ultimechs VRML Twitch.
Okay, and then that is also in the link in the description as well. I don't think I've watched them cast yet. I think last Saturday was that one guy that I know it was Doctor. No, no, who was it? Was it Doctor Oolong? And
Yeah,
it was Doctor Oolong and that one guy that he's got a suit and tie on Twitter. I can't remember his name.
Nightfire.
Is that Nightfire that does that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's pretty good. I like watching his stuff. He seems like he's pretty with it. Um, so as a caster, how do you think do you think that this game going into the future has replayability of watching to be in esports? Do you think that like Rocket League that is an actual esport as well in the pancake world, do you think going on that this can be more mainstream, that more people might pick this up as big as Rocket League? Rocket League's been around for almost 10 years, and has never lost its popularity. It's because it's just got that thing to where it's like if you're done playing a shooter and you don't want to play a single game, you can Rocket League's Rocket League, and I think that Ultimex is going to be that in the VR space. Obviously they have games like Knock, but Knock doesn't really fancy my itch like Ultimex does when it comes to wanting that type of sport game. Do you think that the casting and the game have a future in the esports world?
I would think that anything potentially, like say Echo Arena, it had its preseason and first season, which were smaller than the current Ultimex preseason as far as player count. So I think it could definitely grow to be the size of Echo Arena or maybe even larger.
Do we what is the how many teams are there now? Like I know that when it first started, there wasn't that many teams. How many teams originally started in VRML, and do you know how many teams from seeing the preseason going that might be already potentially waiting for the next season? Do you know what the growth ratio is going to be?
Um, I'm not completely sure, but based on some numbers from Echo Arena, Echo Arena went from, let me pull them up. They went from their first season having 237 to 1,000 players in season two. I do not see that for Ultimech season
It
one.
jumped that much?
Yeah,
Holy cow.
that was at Quest launch. Um, I don't see that necessarily for Ultimex in its entirety, but I do see maybe something 600, something around there.
Mm-hmm. So, and then also a question. I've noticed that always VRML, they've done everything through their website when it comes to showing standings, brackets, and stuff like that. And I've noticed that when you sent the bracket, that it was through Challenge. So, is there any reason why they wanted to use that bracket system? Was it just so they can just mainstream it?
Yeah, Challenge has their a nice little embed system
Mm-hmm.
that will usually get displayed post championship on a page so that everyone can go back to see the bracket and where it took place and the prize pool and whatnot.
Gotcha. And then yeah, and then also VRML has like I said, has a pretty nice website. So just to even know what, like, if you've never played this game, and people that even know about Ultimex and VRML that's going to be watching the uh, the tournament going on today. Definitely look at both their websites. Ultimix has a really good one. It's just Resolution, and play all of Resolution's games. They have, all of their games that they play that they have created so far are phenomenal games. I know that they plan on, expanding into even more games into the future. And then VRML is probably one of the very first leagues I ever found out about as well when going into the esports world. But I'm just going to read off one thing from VRML that I was on their website looking at. So I guess there is a prize. It's not money, but it says up for grabs. Resolution Games unveiled that they will be rewarded pilots who participated in the preseason with an exclusive in-game player banner to show off to other players. And the player banners are pretty cool. It says VRML. So if you want to go over to the VRML website, if you're new or if you're a part of the tournament, and check out these banners. They got a red one and a green one, which are pretty cool. And then it pretty much shows how everything's been going through. It shows week one qualifiers and the week two finals. And so yeah, so Saturday, January 21st, 4 p.m. East, and then Sunday is same time, 4 p.m. East as well. And then I'm just reading a little bit of this just to give some knowledge to people. Weekend 2 will consist of the grand finals. The top 6 teams will auto qualify to play, and along with the top 2 from the final qualifiers, the following teams for the finals, and then are the following of the teams that you've already mentioned. So out of this, and you can't be biased since you're part of the Hellfire. Who do you think are the top 3 teams that are going to be most watched? I want this. I want this from you, okay? Okay, I'm going to have a series of things, and I want you to kind of just answer as I go. You ready for this?
Gotcha.
All right, so going to be the most watched team.
Um, I would think Reaper's Death.
Reaper's Death. Why is that?
Because they're kind of the underdog in the story. I know their players are really good. And I've seen them play. I've played with them. They only joined maybe a few weeks before the season ended,
Mm-hmm.
and they climbed to the top of the ladder so fast, and they made it through that master tier qualifier 5-0. So
Oh, dang. And so they're the ones that came from week 1, right?
that's correct, yeah.
And what's their team name?
Reaper's Death.
Why is it not on the list here?
That is where are you looking?
I'm looking at week 2 finals. Is it because okay, it's on week 1. Maybe they just didn't put it in week 2 because they didn't know who's going to be a part of it. But
Yeah.
it's on week 1, so I guess they just didn't put it on there. Okay, so Reaper's Death, and then okay, so we have that, and then going into the tournament, who's going to get first, second, and third? Your best guess.
Um, Havoc for first. That's
Unbiased opinion. You can't get
yes.
it.
That's not biased. Their first place ladder. I mean,
All right,
yeah.
second,
I would say Fist of Steel,
Fist of
probably.
Steel. All right, he says Fist of Steel for second, and then coming in third,
Reaper's Death.
Reaper's Death. And then okay, I always like this. Do you if you could pick one team or one matchup that's going to create an upset, what would be an upset?
Let's see what we have right now. Um,
So
I
going
would.
into so going if you look at the very first matches right now, so we have Havoc Hellfire, and then it just says 2. And then
Um,
Disorient against Fire and Ice, the Floodmen, and then 1. And then Fist of Steel and 9. What's up? Are those buys?
um,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
you
6.
you aren't looking at a
Am I not looking at the right one?
yeah.
All
That's
right. Let me go to the
from
link that you sent me.
that's from last
Is
week
the
when
is the
we didn't
challenge
know.
one is it up to date?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll just go to the link you gave me yesterday. Because I definitely love upsets. You know, like when people create like a March Madness bracket, like that's the biggest thing is like getting the correct like who's gonna probably be the upset of like wow I can't believe that happened. So while I pull up this bracket, what would be a major upset that would kind of just be like holy cow that just happened?
I would say Reaper's Death might be winning against Foodmen.
Okay, so as of today's lineup, and I'm guessing that at 4 p.m. it's starting with Havoc Hellfire against Run It Back.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so starting at 4 o'clock p.m. East. Gotta always gotta throw that because I'm Central Time, so it always throws me off. I have to talk East all the time. So we got Havoc Hellfire against Run It Back for the first match, then Disorient, and I guess it's just Disorient, which is Disorient Labs, and then Fire against Fire and Ice, the Foodmen, Reaper's Death, Fist of Steel, and the 99th Pursuit Squadron. These are some good names. So,
Yeah,
so you think the Reaper's Death and the Foodman will be an upset. So you think Reaper's Death will beat the Foodman.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're making me want to for today's matchup. You definitely want me to keep an eye on Reaper's Death. That you say that they kind of came out of the woodworks and just kind of ran through the first the pre-qualifiers.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. What do they run?
Um, they run a Titan for Morrison and Nitro for every other player.
So Titan Nitro. Titan Nitro. Does anyone use Viper?
Um, Reaper's Death, Blade uses Viper, 24 used to use Viper. I don't believe anyone else.
Do you think with the lack of people using Viper that it might need to maybe be buffed?
Um, Potentially. I just don't think in a 2v2 it's the most competitively viable.
Okay, okay. And then you say competitively viable, so I want to kind of segue from that question that you said. So when you say about competitively viable, will VRML eventually branch off to 1v1s?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not so you think competitively and the watchability of esports, you think 2v2 is the best, or do you think maybe getting a bigger arena and doing 3v3s? Do you think that would might be too much?
I think maybe for a game like this, 3v3s might be too much.
Mm-hmm.
The current 3v3s, which you can do sometimes in game,
Okay.
uh, are fairly glitchy and chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't see that being the most enjoyable to watch in a competitive scene.
Yeah, because unlike a pancake game with Ultimechs, it's not you're not free roaming. You're jumping from pod to pod, little areas that you're going from. And so it's a lot of jolting. Like even watching the stream from last week, it's just like if you never played the game before as a first person seeing this, you're just like holy cow. Like and it's kind of interesting that why more people should get into it is that these people are making fast twitch motions with their eyes and with the joystick. Like especially like with me, I try and not move around as much in circles like I do in most games. That I've been getting to the point where it's like if I want to go backwards, I face my joystick past my head and shoot it past my head to go backwards. And so you got to think of like what people are doing in their headset to like repositioning. And that's one thing that I want to kind of talk about when it comes to, so like for instance, just going off of, using Rocket League as an example again. When I played competitive Rocket League, there was always proper positioning, person in goal and then someone up and then you would rotate. And then that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about going like from this tournament or what you've seen so far from the VRML tournament is how is positioning working? Are people creating proper positioning or is it just kind of just, you know, all the way like maxed out going as hard as you can? Doesn't matter about positioning. Like obviously at some point there's going to be you're going to be pinched where you're going to have goalies. Can you kind of explain like what is proper positioning if there is any?
I would say occasionally I've seen teams do some positional work to try and get an advantage
Mm-hmm.
in scenarios, but I haven't seen it for the most part.
You haven't seen it for the
Um,
most part.
yeah, for the most part, it's been all out defensive, all out offensive.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering from when I first started playing this game is the winning team eventually will be who gets the right amount of rotational because you have to have rotation because if you don't have proper rotation you get caught in binds, especially when people get those really lucky like Hail Mary. It's like you meant to save a goal so you use Nitro's ult, which kind of could be hectic, and next thing you know that damn ball shoots and it goes into the bigger goal. What's the bigger goal called? Why can't I not remember what it's called?
The super goal.
Yeah, the super goal, which is worth more points than the normal goal. And I've seen that happen. I've literally seen someone use their nitro explosion, and it just like goes right into, and you're just like, how? What the hell just happened?
Yeah,
And then with talking about the super goal, have you noticed in the tournament that people still try and go the extra mile to get that super goal, or do a lot of people play more conservative and just go for the normal goal for the 1 point?
I would say if a team feels that they can easily win, they tend to try to go for that super goal. Um, Otherwise, from what I've seen, it's been more of that conservative 1 point.
That conservative 1 point. Can you tell from being a caster when a team is frustrated or is starting to fall apart?
Um, Occasionally, yeah. You might see a little bit more like sporadic movements of the hands or whatnot. And it's happened on a few cases where if a team's just down, they'll just like you can kind of see a shift of them just less focusing and
Yeah, yeah, because I know that when I played my first like tournament thing in Dr. Oolong's Discord, because he just has like a random one every week. I think what is it, every Saturday? I think he has one. I don't. He's probably not doing it this week because of the bigger tournament, but in his he has one. And I know that I teamed up with Pesky Cashew. Also a good player that played Ultimechs and stuff, and very good at VR in general. And I noticed that we were following each other quite a bit, and it's just like I could see how when we were playing, we're both ball chasing. You can't always ball chase, and that's why I was wondering about the positioning because I can see how frustrating it is to where you're both very skilled players, but at the same time, you're ball chasing just because you're like a freaking dog in there chasing your favorite ball, and you sometimes in the game you just kind of forget like, oh wait, this is a team-based thing. I don't need to be hitting this ball every damn time, which creates frustration. And it's like, does that kind of work? Does ball chasing work in this game? And you've noticed, or do you think some people that are more calm and relaxed and set back that that you've noticed they've won more?
Um, I would say for the most part, ball chasing's kind of been the norm.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, People try to push up with the ball as best as possible, as quickly as possible, because if you aren't, then it gives the other opponent the chance to actually move it back, and the ball can bounce from one side to the other so fast that if you're not up there actively chasing it and you're not actively on it, then it just gives the opponent the free opportunity to, say, get a Viper shot straight into your goal.
Man, yeah. And that's one thing that I definitely want to down the road be paying attention to from, obviously when you guys have more of these tournaments, I want to bring someone on from VRML to always, help promote it. Just because I have great appreciation for both organizations, for Ultimechs and VRML. That's why I'm doing this today, is to kind of give more awareability of like what's going on in the esports scene, since I also own an esports team, because the surviving of this game and this league is also survivability of my players having a place to play. um, and yeah, definitely want to know from the podcast that we're talking about today and then into the future. I want to know, like, will there be a strategy where ball chasing it's got to go away? I just don't see the holy cow, I can't say that word, foreseeable future that ball chasing will always be the meta of strategy. Especially, is there any word yet that from Ultimechs that they plan on maybe bringing in a new mech?
I haven't seen anything regarding that.
Yeah, and I wonder if they are. That'd be interesting. And I wouldn't even know like the start, like what mech would even be a good combination. I definitely think that I think Viper would probably eventually might have some modifications, just because from this tournament, I think that they have to be looking at like, why is Viper not being used that much? Obviously, there is something halting people from using it. And then also just like changes and updates that might make this game more, enjoyable to watch. Do you think maybe allowing the mechs to potentially jump or have a jetpack, do you think that would be an interesting idea? Or do you think the way that they're on the ground now is just the best way to play this game?
I think it's an interesting idea. However, it might be a little bit disorienting to the actual player,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if you're zipping across the arena as you are now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then before we kind of wrap this up, I do want to talk about one last thing, which is going into overtime. Have you seen a lot of overtime? Like
Um,
it's tied 2v2 and they get the big goal.
in this tournament, there has been a couple.
Are they like, are
Last,
they really cool? Like, because I know overtime when I used to go to it, it was just like full stress, and like there would be like these back to back duos.
yeah. Um, since they changed it to being just a golden goal, it's gotten a little less, or golden goal, instead of being the whole wall gone, it's now just the exact same as a normal
Oh, that
game.
they changed it to that. Oh man, I didn't know. When did they make
Um,
that change?
the 1.5 update.
Man, I thought I thought I did hear something about that change, but I didn't know they got rid of the big goal.
It's not completely gone. It's just moved into another mode.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, that was always interesting. I mean, it made things quicker, but I can understand as esports for more competitive that it becomes a normal goal. But still, the stress is there. Because last point wins. And I've always wanted a game mode with that big goal. So like Rocket League, they have like where you hit you hit the ground of the opposing thing, then it puts away like a little bit of a square, and it starts bringing in the goal that you're supposed to put into the ground. And I always wanted them to take that big wall and put a kind of fake wall in front of it, and as you hit it, the things start going away that start making a bigger goal, or you can make it into that smaller hole. Like that game mode would be sweet to play. Just for some people to get away from the competitive scene just to play their thing, because they have like basketball, they have hockey as well in Rocket League. So I definitely want to see them going into Ultimechs to have other game modes like that. But they also need more playability, more players in there as well. So they still have to fill normal lobbies as well. And then also I had one last question: is from Saturday, are they using a different arena for this tournament?
No, it's just going to be the large one.
The large one. Okay. Was there any reason why they didn't want to use the small one? Or
Um,
the large one was just more for, the viewability, like to see everything, for people to have more room to move around, more errors potentially?
yeah, and I would say the small one's too small to have a 2v2.
The small one's is too small for the 2v2?
Yeah, I would say like going back to the 3v3s we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
it would be a same scenario where it would just get too chaotic
Yeah.
for.
That makes sense. For sure. So is there anything else you want to kind of say about this tournament or Ultimex or VML before we wrap this up?
No, I don't believe so.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everyone that's watching, and then people who will be watching this, like I said, it will be on today, starting. Let me pull up this again. It's going to be starting with Havoc Hellfire against Run It Back at 4 p.m. East. As CGF has stated, it will be in a double elimination. So that's going to be pretty exciting that you'll see someone go into a loser's bracket and make their way up. From what he has said, probably be on the lookout for Reaper's Death. They're coming out of the woodworks. I will definitely be watching to see how they're doing. I see what kind of upsets they're going to create, and then obviously good luck to Havoc Hellfire today, since they are representing our esports organization. And then good luck to everyone else that is playing in the tournament. And then hopefully from this, more people want to watch the tournament. I'm going to be tweeting out as much as possible the day before 4 p.m. to get people to go out and watch it. All the links that you want to watch, either you want to catch the bracket or you want to go watch it on Twitch, it's all in the link in the description from this video. And then I also will be helping out, try and push those links as well on Discord and social media as well. And then Sunday, how long are they going to Saturday for Saturday? Or is
We are
it two
going.
double elimination tournaments, Saturday and Sunday?
It's only the one. We
Only.
are going to game 8
So
today.
game 8. So today we'll be going to game 8, and then they're picking up on Sunday at the same time at 4 p.m. Eastern. And that is that for the Ultimechs VRML preseason tournament. Other than that, we'll find out Sunday who's going to be victor, and definitely be looking out more for what's. First of all, go play Ultimechs. It's free. That's for sure one of the biggest things you should go do if you want to be part of this. Ultimechs is free, and I can't stress that enough, that it is a great game. It's made by a good company. It's a good community, and it's free. Like, those are major things to go play this. And then VRML is one of the most well-established leagues in VR that I can probably say, that I can confidently say with some other leagues. But since this is for VRML, definitely go check them out on their website for any game. You might like another game like Onward, where you want to create a team or an Echo team and play with them through their other Discords as well. So other than that, I will see you all on Monday. We were going to talk about Breachers the whole entire time, and then I got a guest. So we have a guest that is putting on a tournament for Vertical Shift. And I'm horrible with names, so let me pull up this name. And then we'll end this podcast, CGF. And then just hang tight. And then when I end this intro, I'll say goodbye to you through our Zoom call here. But let me get this name. Why can't I not remember this name? So for Monday, it will be with Rocket Lad, who is doing their community event tournament. So it'll be Monday. So I'll see you all Monday, and good luck to everyone in the Ultimechs tournament. Thanks for everyone that watched. Link in the description. CGF. I usually say people wave at the camera, but you can just wave in spirit. CGF. Wave in spirit. Thanks for coming on, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure.